As we look today in the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, if you found it, please say amen. Says there, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. And it stood the seraphims, each one had 6 wings, which with twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the post of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For mine eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. I want to pose a question on today. What do you see? What do you see? Certainly in this day and time, and in this era that we live in, everybody wants to look good. Amen, somebody. If you want to hurt our feelings, all you have to do is say that we don't look good or that we are an ugly person on the outside. But one thing I've learned, it doesn't matter what's on the outside. Doesn't matter if you wear expensive clothes or if you wear rags. It really doesn't matter if you wear makeup or not. It really doesn't matter if you get your hair fixed or not. But what really matters is what God has placed on the inside of you. One of the biggest problems we have is that we find ourselves taking people just from looking at them, and we form an opinion about them and say whether they're good or not. But one thing I've learned, looks are deceiving, because there are a lot of folk that you thought were good folk because they look good, but they turned out to be dirty folk. And one thing that God has said is that I don't look the way you look. I don't look at folk the way you look. And you ought to be rejoicing right now, because if God looked on the outside of us and that's all he did was fix the outside, we'd be some dirty folk. We'd be a lot worse than what we are. But thanks be to God, he looks on the inside of us and he sees us trying and striving to do what's right. I know we don't always do right. I know we don't always do and say the right things, but God says that I see what you're trying to be. That's why I say, what is it what do you see? That's a question for all of us, because all of us, before you left home, I know you looked in your mirror. I know you looked to see if everything looked good, if your hair was looking nice, if you had this going on this way. You wanted to make sure you looked good on the outside. It's all right to fix up the outside, but when you give the outside more attention than you give to the inside, you're headed for trouble. And there are a lot of folk that do nothing to clean up the inside. They just do it on the outside. Well, let me just be real. If you look in some of our cars, the outside looks good, because we just had it cleaned up, but the inside is potato chips and peanuts and all kind of paper on the floor. And one thing about it is, sad to say, a lot of us, when we look in the mirror, we see some good results, but on the inside, we're torn up. Never heard God say that I'm going to save you because you look good. I'll approve you because you look good. God, when he comes back, he don't come back looking for this old clay body. He comes back for what's on the inside. Look at the relationships and the friendships we messed up because we looked at somebody and they didn't look like they were good enough to hang with us. Huh? There are a lot of folk we didn't even give a chance because they didn't look the part. But if you really be honest with yourself, what if God did us like that? What if God said the outside looked good, so I guess I'll keep this one, but the outside looked bad on this one, I'm going to throw him away. And one thing I've learned, it really don't matter how the blessings get to you, just as long as you get blessed. See, that's one thing about it. Christmas time, you know, we're looking for the wrapped up gifts. And there are some things that come in some ugly boxes, but the inside is good. Huh? It's not really what's on the outside, but well, look at this.